Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I'm Peter, that is Connor. We talk about movies on this show. Usually older movies, sometimes stuff that's a little bit more recent, but not new releases. Although this one's probably the newest we've done so far, I think.
I have to assume so.
On Influx, obviously we have 1.21 Gigawatts, which is for new movies that come out. Obviously, like Baby Driver, for example, will be on that later this week. But we're going to be talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes because, of course, War for the Planet of the Apes is coming out in a couple of weeks, and we already did Rise of the Planet of the Apes and the original Planet of the Apes. See, this is why these titles are too long, because when you see a few of them like that,
I agree. It's a mouthful.
yeah. But obviously, current trilogy, Rise, and now Dawn, and then we'll have War. And we like the original a lot, we like Rise a lot, and we did allude to quite heavily in Rise that we like Dawn quite a bit. So here we are. I'm just going to give a full spoiler warning, I think, just so we can dive right
Yeah.
in, get into it. Because we did a spoiler-free section on Rise, and I feel like that made sense. It's the start of the trilogy. You should go back and watch that. And if you watched Rise, you probably want to watch Dawn anyway. I don't think we have to convince you that you
And
should.
and also just go watch it
Yeah, go
because
watch Dawn.
because
It's
it's
great.
great.
It's fantastic. It's the best film in the series, and perhaps we will convince you of that over the next hour or however long this takes. So here we are, Dawn for the Planet of the Apes. Time has moved on a little bit, at least 10 years, and we have Caesar, who now is the head of this ape community. And they use spears to hunt things. They even have like a little
Do you know what
school.
that opening? Where they're hunting. That's one of my favorite moments. It's one of my favorite moments from the music. There's a lot of very good music in this film, which my Gigino is fantastic. But there's a moment there where the music plays homage to the Monolith music from 2001.
I did notice this. Yes.
And I think it's fantastic. 'Cause obviously, that opens there with the dawn of man and apes learning to use tools, and that's kind of what this scene is. It's
I
them using tools to hunt.
I did notice this, yes, and I did smirk when I noticed it was homaging these. It was sort of the mythic chanting of
Yeah,
of that track. Was sort of coming in as they were hunting. I liked that touch. That was actually quite nice. But no, they've got a society. They have like a little sort of community, and they've got the young apes. Were all being taught. Maurice seems to be the teacher of
yeah.
the kids. He's teaching them alphabets, and they even have laws like written on the wall. It's like ape does not kill
It's
ape.
it's very like Ten Commandments.
Yeah, kind of. And but no, we see they're functioning, and for a lot of the first part of the movie, it's a subtitled movie because the apes are all using sign language and they're communicating, and we get subtitles.
Yeah, we have that short opening section, where it's just about the virus spreading, with a bit of
Yeah,
narration with the newscasters.
yeah. I wouldn't even call it narration. It's just like clips of
Yeah,
audio from
yeah.
news clips and things like that. Yeah. I mean, I just glossed over that because
Well, yeah, I just mean it starts with some familiar dialogue, and then it's like right straight into it.
yeah, it's just straight to Caesar and the apes, and
Yeah,
we're running with that right from the get go. He's the main character. Caesar is the protagonist. That's not to say that we don't have a main human character. We do. We have Jason Clarke, played Malcolm, and the humans kind of stumble in, and the asshole human Carver, he shoots. Ash is the name of the ape, who's the
yeah.
son of Rocket. Doesn't kill him, but shoots him out of fear, and maybe general ashholeness as well, which is a fair point. And that kind of kicks off the plot, and that's when we hear Caesar speak. He says, "Leave now or go now,"
Go.
and it just fills us back into this world. And it's not only until then when we actually meet the humans through that point of view that we then follow them back to their civilization, and then it becomes a movie of two sides, a movie of two sides of the coin, where there's the humans and there's the apes. And what I think makes this movie work so goddamn well, especially just from the point of social commentary, of the point of all this, because really what I think the movie's about, it's the fear and the condemnation of the other,
Yeah,
the other type of person, or in this case, other species of creature
mm.
that you don't trust, that you expected to be something bad. And what I think makes this extremely balanced is that you've got these leaders. Clark's not quite the leader actually, or Malcolm, I should say, his character name, but he really wants peace and to work with the apes and Caesar, and he seems to respect Caesar. Well, everyone else is like, oh, they're still apes, they're still animals, but he sees that there's something more intelligent there. He
Yeah.
recognizes that. And Caesar, likewise, remembers. Oh my god, I forgot his character name, but Franco's character from the first movie. He remembers him, and he remembers humans can be good, even though like others, Koba's only seen the bad of humanity. He does know that there's good people, there's good to humanity that there is there, and he is tempted to try and make sure peace happens, and that's kind of like the bond that's trying to happen that feels.
That's it. Like
you're kind of praying for it all movie, even though it feels like it's doomed.
Yeah, but both societies feel equal in the sense, like you say, there are these good people who are striving for peace. But then on both sides, there are those that are just like, nah, let's just go to war. Let's just wipe the others out.
Oh yeah, in both sides, like you have Carver on the human side who is constantly being essentially racist towards the apes. I mean, obviously it's a different species, so it's not quite racism in the same sense, but it's the way he's talking sounds the exact same as a racist nutjob who wants to diminish them, or they're just animals, they're just apes, we should just kill them now before they come and kill us in our sleep. It's just these awful things he's saying. He's enticing, he's being antagonistic. And then on the same side of that, you have Koba on the apes who's like, no, they're humans, they're evil, we should do this, we should have revenge, we should fight, we should show strength.
And I think then, as well as that, you've kind of got a bit of a middle ground, like Gary Oldman's Dreyfus, who's like, no, we're going to be prepared and we're going to have guns. I'm going to give you your chance. You can try and have peace, but if this doesn't work, I am ready.
Do you know, one of my biggest sort of pleasant surprises in the movie, I was expecting it to be good, but one of my pleasant surprises was Gary Oldman's character, because I think the trailers made him look like he was just going to be I'm the human villain, kill these stupid apes. And he actually wasn't. He was a pretty straightforward guy who was quite logical, and like you say, he was prepared. He wasn't looking for war. He was concerned, but he didn't jump the gun. He felt more realistic because he wasn't just, oh yes, let's just go and attack.
That's it. He was willing to give Clarke a chance. It's like, you go out and try, but I'm giving you 3 days. After that, I'm being ready. I'm not taking the risk.
And when it got to the point where he was commanding everyone and shooting at the apes, at that point the apes were attacking them. This was defense. So you never blamed him. His character was never an asshole about it.
No, it wasn't. It was an unfortunate byproduct of the situation that led him to that.
Which I think sums up the movie as a whole. When we get to the end of the film, we're talking about the overall themes right now, so I'm just skipping around where I see fit. But when we get to the end of the movie, and it's this really sad, upsetting kind of ending where, like, Caesar and Malcolm are kind of like neither of us wanted this, but it's already started and it's leading us to war. Which I think the great thing about going into the new movie, War of the Apes, is that right from the start of this movie, we're talking about the possibility of war. So it feels like it's so well set up to go into movie number 3, but.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, oh, they really tried. They tried to make it work. There was moments where it looked like it might not go quite right, and then it worked in the end. Where it kind of broke down, and Caesar told him to go because Carver snuck in a gun, and then he told him to go for this, and then she, his wife, Keri Russell's character Ellie, she heals Caesar's wife. She actually uses her because she's a doctor, and the apes don't have a doctor. And it's like, oh wait, we can both benefit from this. Like, yeah, the humans get their power from the dam, so they can have the lights and stuff, and we get medical attention. We get things that we haven't quite figured out yet. Because simply put, humans have had a lot of time to figure a lot of stuff out.
Well, that's it. Like we see, as advanced as they are for apes, they have a functioning society. They are still relatively primitive in the sense, it's still wooden and stone spears. It's still, around fires.
I mean, to sort of put it in perspective, they're basically cavemen with more intelligence. Because they are smarter, because they're communicating better than what cavemen would have communicated and so on. And even the fact that Caesar recognises good in people and bad in people, because I think actual cavemen are a bit more barbaric, and that's kind of what Koba
he
leans
has
towards.
A modern morality.
But when you watch this movie, you can totally see the fear-mongering, both from Koba and Carver. And because some humans blame the apes because they called it the simian flu because where it came from, even though it was humans that made it. It wasn't the apes' fault. But like the way it's used as a sort of almost political leverage, like no, we can't trust them because of this. It feels so again like good science fiction. It's such good social commentary, and everything about it feels like it's examining why did these two sides eventually fight. When people on both sides clearly did not want that to happen, who were trying the best to make it work.
Right, and I think that's why I'm looking forward to this third one so much. Like I say, this next one is war, and we know, right, this movie is war. And it's this whole movie of Dawn was, can we prevent it? And the whole thing is just a reason of going. Ultimately, no, this is going to happen. And the next one is kind of the fallout from that almost.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think the movie's saying that it's always going to happen, though.
No, I don't think, in this case.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cynical look in the world. I think it's an examination of and in this case it was going to happen because that's where the story's going. But I think the point is when it does happen, why does it happen?
I think it's interesting that when it happens is when there's the breakdown of communication. Because, it's whenever they talk, whenever Malcolm and Caesar are discussing, we want the dam, we can help, that's when relations are by far at their best. But as soon as one bad thing happens and, they start shunning the other side, it escalates. And without the communication to discuss and see the benefits, they just vilify the others.
Well, to an extent, but I think a big element here is it's sabotaged on both sides from within.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest element here. Is the fact that there's people on both sides who actually want to go to war is ultimately why it happens. Because the reason why the war actually happens is because Koba, for the first time in their society, kills another ape. Or at least he thinks he does. Caesar doesn't actually die from it, which leads us to where it goes. But ultimately, he becomes the ultimate villain of the movie because he does cause this war. And I like that. Don't get me wrong, he's villainous because he harms Koba. He threatens other apes. He kills Ash. Because he doesn't follow his orders. He is just power hungry. He is the politician who's in for himself, essentially. Even if he's not thinking of it in terms of politics, that's kind of what it is. And that he wants to be the ruler of the apes, and he wants to defeat the human menace, and blah 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 blah. And it's all about vengeance. It's all about power. And what I think is so perfect about that is that you hate him for hurting Caesar, hurting the other apes, but ultimately he's causing war. He is the bullet that just started. He's essentially Hitler. Maybe not in the same idea that he's doing the same things as Hitler, but just in the sense that World War II happened because of, at its core, there was a person at the centre who caused it.
Yeah.
That drove it forward.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's out of such selfish motivations. Like I say, it's because he wants to be in charge. He no longer respects Caesar. He thinks Caesar doesn't deserve his place. He thinks he can do better.
Yeah. And, by the way, I love there's a moment when Koba goes against Caesar. There's that great moment, that shot where Caesar stands up in front of him and he rises up to show his strength, and the camera just tilts with him.
So good.
And it just feels so imposing. It's and that's what I think I love about it, is I think in a straight one-on-one fight, Koba was always going to lose, but he is a coward and he shoots him from the darkness. But he takes him off his guard, and then when they are fighting, Caesar's injured. He has played it to a perfection. He has manipulated it so he's getting an advantage.
And Koba knows that. That's why those moments where Caesar raises up, Koba immediately shrinks down. He goes down. He puts his hand up for submission. And
this is the thing. He claims that he's for ape and that he hates Caesar because Caesar's sympathising with the enemy. But the minute things start not going his way during the fight at the end of the tower, Koba starts putting other apes in harm's way to win the fight. It is purely about himself. It is purely selfish reasons. It expertly parallels to so many things.
What I'm really interested in is does he realize he's being selfish? Is he aware that he's just power hungry and he's like, no, I want this, or does he genuinely believe it's good for apes? I'm not sure.
I think he probably did until a point. But I think there's a moment in the fight when he does just put another ape in danger, where maybe he's not thinking about it, or he's not got time to think about it. But the fact that he's made that choice, in that moment means that deep down that's what it is. So I don't know. It's hard to say one way or the other. But I think. No, I think that's ultimately the meat of the film, is that social commentary, that analysis of why the two sides eventually go to war when there's good people on both sides trying to stop it, and it should be stopped. And I think ultimately that's the other big message here, is that war is violence for violence sake. It's pointless.
Yeah.
And World War II is a bad one to compare it to, because that was very much a
There was a reason.
A defense,
that.
yeah. Like it was like, okay, we need to start protecting people because Nazi Germany's going awry.
World War One's probably a better analogy for that, where it's just a political mess.
But even then, like, it still kind of works to the extent where there's still someone causing it from the other side. Sure, the reason why the defending side said, "Okay, no, we need to declare war. Right, we're stepping in and doing this."
Yeah.
Like, it started from a place of this doesn't need to happen. This is one person's power or one group's power that's going out of hand, so on. But yeah, the violence is unnecessary. Apes die, humans die. All of it is not needed.
Yeah, no one's really going to win at the end of it.
No, not at all. And I think it's very much an anti-war movie. And the fact that was an anti-war movie, then we're going into a movie called War for the Planet of the Apes. Like, what's this going to come out feeling like?
Fascinating, isn't it? Like, if that was a look at why we should prevent war, and that's ultimately what it is. It's trying its hardest not to reach war.
And I feel like the next one even will keep that message. Like, we shouldn't have war. I feel like that's going to be a consistent theme.
It has to. Otherwise, it would feel like a tonal shift for the series, which just wouldn't make sense.
Well, I mean, right from the start of this next movie, like at the end of this, Caesar does not want war, but he knows that it's happening now. He can't do anything about it. He has to fight it because he knows that because of what's happened, because of the attack that the apes have made, they have to. That the humans are going to come. Like the people they called for help, the military that are left are going to come for them, and they're going to have to stand their ground and fight. There's not going to be an option for peace because they're going to shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
And I think that's fast. I think the fact that we have Caesar, who doesn't even want a war, he knows it's not something that he wants.
That's it. He doesn't want the war, but he knows he still has to fight it. He has to win it for his people, for his species' survival. It's been forced to a point where, as far as he can see, at least at the start of the movie, it's one or the other. Yeah.
So it'll be fascinating. And then obviously the embargo for the next movie just lifted, and it's sitting at 96% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. It's shockingly high.
It's also a crazy early embargo.
It is. They're confident about that movie. They are confident.
They really are. I can't remember the last time I saw one that early.
But it's really exciting, of course, that it's at least getting the praise up front, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling nice and I was confident anyway, but now I'm feeling especially confident.
I had no reason to be worried whatsoever, but it's nice just to have that reassurance.
Yeah, so that stuff is fantastic. And
I was going to say, just take a moment to say that we've spent, however long already, just talking about how good the characters are, and half of them are apes.
That's because it shouldn't matter.
It's just that they're so fully realized characters, and they're so well acted, and they look so just realistic. Everything is in the emotions, in the faces.
All this absolutely true. All this is why as movie characters they work. But just to go into a sort of a deeper message behind this. This is the biggest argument I almost have when people start being racist or homophobic or whatever. Like for any type of bigotry, take your pick. Is, X person is different from me, therefore they are lesser. And I'm like, no. I don't even need to see another human being to see them as being equal or whatever. If they're intelligent life, it doesn't matter what species they are, what they look like. And obviously in real life examples, we're using other human beings, so it's even more like, what the hell are you talking about, you idiots? But in this case, these apes are smart, they're intelligent, and that's why I think you connect with Malcolm quite quickly, because he recognises that this is intelligent life. Therefore, we should be having conversations with him. This is negotiating for peace. This is what this is. But that's this bigoted idea of they're different, they are less than equal, or they are savage, or they are the boogeyman. They are the other. Again, going back to what the whole theme of the movie is that it's the fear of the other kind, and it goes both ways. You have Koba being like that with the humans, you have Carver being like that with the apes, and obviously they're very much just the core examples for the movie to show that. Obviously there'll be others as well on both sides, but I think that's fascinating stuff. It is. Like I say, Dawn is rich with that stuff, and obviously characters are very good. Caesar's great. I think you get a good sense of Maurice. Maurice, of course, befriends Malcolm's son. He has some good moments. Rocket feels like a loyal comrade. So again, you get this core set of characters who we've had mostly from the last movie as well, carrying forward. They're carrying forward to the next one.
It's really interesting to see their place in the society, because obviously they're the elder ones. They were around at the start. They were Caesar's first allies, and they clearly have elevated positions because of that. Yeah,
and it's when Koba shoots Maurice in the final fight. You're like, oh no, he crossed the line. Not Maurice. Maurice is so big and friendly.
That was too far.
Yeah. No, Maurice survives. I mean, obviously, having that big face means there's plenty of area to shoot that probably won't cause that much damage internally.
He's thick-skinned.
Yeah. But, like, it's, oh man. Which, by the way, can I just say how much I love the scene where Koba, because he goes and visits those two, not really nut jobs, but the two sort of, the guys who are, like, drinking with us.
The gun range.
Yeah, they're firing practice, but they're both kind of assholes. Like, not
Yeah.
terrible people, but they're kind of. But they're doing that, and Koba like pretends to be a dumb monkey to kind of like so they're not scared of him, and they kind of like have fun with them, and the whole time you're just waiting for him to do something, and then see that
it plays it waits so long,
and it's when he grabs the gun and he just starts swinging it around, and you're like, oh no, like this is just entered a dark moment,
yeah,
and he shoots the one guy like it's nothing, and it's just it's proper terrifying. It's really good stuff.
Yes. I will give those two guys a small bit of credit. They do have good taste in whiskey. They go, oh, this is the good stuff, and from what I can tell, it looks like a Johnny Walker Blue Label, and that is the good stuff.
Sure.
So credit where it's due.
Sure. But no, yeah, characters across the board. Obviously, Malcolm and Caesar are the main ones on both sides, but like his family, like Ellie, of course, we find out that she had a daughter and Malcolm had a wife before, and they died in the virus. Like, it's not full families that have survived this. A lot of people have lost others, and
I think it's interesting that the children, like her child died, because I get the wife died, but it's interesting that she didn't pass on the resistance, the immunity. It wasn't like she didn't genetically just pass it on like you'd perhaps expect.
nah, clearly they're saying that's not how this works. It's
Yeah,
the immunity is
draw,
random.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Malcolm's really lucky that him and his son are both survived, because it could have just been one of them.
Unless it was, and it's just a recessive gene, perhaps.
Yeah, possibly, or maybe it's something that only the men pass down.
It could be. Yeah,
Don't know. I thought.
no, that's possible.
But then again, maybe not, because Gary Oldman's character lost all of his kids, so
That's
perhaps
true.
not. That was actually a moment I really liked. I liked when they got power back on for a little bit, and he started crying looking at his photos on his iPad, and I'm like, oh yeah, he had no electricity, and all his photos are all digital,
Yeah,
so he couldn't look at them. And this is the first time he's seen his
it's
kids
so
in so long.
real to now. Like the
Yeah.
idea that now, obviously, some people will still have all the hard copies of photos, but I think the majority of people now, it's it's all on the phones, it's all on Facebook or whatever. And the idea that if they lost all of that in some sort of event, how would they look at pictures of their family? For a lot of people, that's kind of sad, and I don't think I noticed until this.
Yeah, some great action scenes in this one.
Oh, yeah.
I really like when Malcolm's like sneaking around after the apes have taken over. Malcolm's sneaking around the building trying to get medical supplies for Caesar, because Caesar's been shot and he needs to be healed, and he's running around trying to get them. And there's this sort of wonder as he's running around, and he keeps almost running into the apes as they're like shooting stuff in the hallway and whatnot. And that was really good. That's where he runs into with Blue Eyes, who's Caesar's son. That's another theme of the movie, is that Caesar has his son, has a new baby as well. But like Caesar's son is kind of naive and kind of like gets run into Koba's way of thinking for a while.
Yeah, it kind of plays as the idea of being raised as just as Caesar's son versus being raised as the son of the whole society. Because it means that I think they very much do raise them as a society as a whole rather than individual parenting, from what it seems. And it seems like he very much looks up to Koba, perhaps, because of that. Like, Koba was always there at the start.
Well, I don't know, because at the start of the movie, like, Caesar's teaching him to hunt. Like, he does constantly refer to the fact that he's his father. He's constantly...
Well, yeah, I just mean maybe from a younger age. Like, it seems like they're, like, raised as a group rather than, one-to-one.
But, like, so he's sort of won over with Koba's way of thinking, like, he's very influential, until they see Koba actually start killing people, and Koba asks them to kill a human being, and he kind of sees the horror of war and the horror of what... Like, he realises what his father was trying to avoid this whole time, and he obviously comes back around and helps his father, and he ends up sneaking out, like, because they've got Maurice and Rocket and the allies, the apes, in the cages as well, and they put humans in the cages, which, again, kind of harkens back to the original movie, where humans are in cages now, and they're the...
Yeah. I like it here a lot, though, because it's like, they're equal. Like, these humans, they're just as bad as these apes. It doesn't matter what they look like anymore.
So yeah, I've talked about the action scenes. The scene where they actually storm the main human base. Koba takes the army and they're on horses. They've all just got the guns.
It's incredible.
There's that fantastic shot when Koba like takes over the tank, and the camera just stays behind like the sort of the top of the tank and it spins with it. So it's just this perfect and sort of 360 shot as all this chaos is going on, and then the tank eventually hits the thing.
I do want to fault one. It's not really a fault. One thing here, as much as we praise the effects, there is something I noticed here where Digital cheating a little bit, reusing a bit of code that they'd done before. It was where that shot where they're riding in on the horses and they're getting shot at, like 3 of the horses fall, and the way they stumble, it's the exact same order and the exact same motions as 3 of the horses that did it in Lord of the Rings. It's the exact same shot, just with a different horse on the top, but the actual movement that it is, they've just used the same bit.
I don't care.
Cheating. I don't really. It took me out for a moment when
I'm never going to watch Lord of the Rings again, so I'm never going to notice this and be like, oh, that's the same shot.
It took me out of the moment. Just a moment when I noticed that I was like, hey, you did that before.
That's fine. It
is.
But no, that seems breathtaking stuff. Yeah, music's pretty good. I don't think the music's super memorable though. I will fault it there.
I disagree with that. I found it extremely memorable from the first time I watched the film in the cinema.
I've seen it 3 times now, and I can't remember a single cue in my head outside of the 2001 homage at the start.
Oh man, Koba's theme I think is excellent. I personally find it very memorable.
I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it works well for the movie, but there's nothing super memorable about it. I don't think anything was super memorable in the first movie either, to be fair, either.
I don't really remember anything from the first one, but I remember a lot from this one.
But no, that's not so much a criticism as just as an observation, because not every score is going to be memorable or necessarily should be memorable. So some, by their nature, are kind of ambient and aren't going to make you think, oh, I can hum that a little bit or whatever. But certainly it's that type of score. All right, so you mentioned effects a little bit ago. Let's talk about CG and how
and just praise it to hell because it's the gold standard still.
Pretty much. I do think it wasn't as immaculate as I remembered.
Yeah.
There were some moments here or there where I'm like, okay, this is at like 85% as opposed to the full 100, right? There is a few more of those moments than I'd remembered. Although, alternatively, the part of the movie that I remembered being the weak spot for effects actually wasn't as bad as I remembered.
Which bit's that?
That was basically the end in the tower. I remember thinking when they were fighting in the tower when I originally saw it that, or the first couple of times I saw it, that it was, I don't know, like the apes were still really good, but some of the surroundings in the background felt a little bit green screeny. It almost felt like, when you see actors against a green screen, where I'm like, oh, the apes look realistic, but it looks like they're standing in front of a green screen, which is a really weird thing to say when they're all CG. But it kind of had that feeling, and it held up a lot better than I'd remembered, actually.
I will say, I still have the same problem that I had in the last film. It's the feet. The feet still don't look quite right.
I wasn't really paying attention to the feet, admittedly.
Well, I was only looking out for it because I'd noticed it last time and I wanted to see if they'd managed to fix it, and
that's fair.
Still not quite there.
Yeah. Now, I was really impressed, though, because when they were up in that tower, obviously it's windier, and you could see all their fur blowing heavier in the wind. It looked really good.
Incredible, isn't it?
Looked really,
I can't wait to see if they've improved again for war.
I think naturally it will have done a little bit, at least.
I mean, yeah, it's been a few years, so it should have done a bit.
Can I just say Dawn, Computer Rise, and then War's getting good reviews. Obviously, once we actually see it, we can have an opinion on it. But just how much having a 3-year gap between the movies seems to be benefiting, just how strong the script was in this, as well as the effects, but just from the perspective of actually taking time to develop the story and commit, because the script in this is so tight, so tight. And so many movies, like franchises, have like 2-year gaps between sequels. You have, don't know, pick your one. And 2 years is the standard for most new franchises that are coming out until they start slowing down. And I feel like here, it's like, this is why you give it an extra year. You give them the time to really develop.
Do you know what I find amusing? I know the director of Rise never came back for this because he didn't like the fact that they'd pegged in the release date already. So he was like, no, I want the freedom in case I need to move it. And they wouldn't budge, obviously, because the studio was like, no, we're having that date. We've got it locked in, which is obviously why they brought in Matt Reeves. But it's still that extra years. It's clearly been enough.
Oh, yeah. Matt Reeves, of course, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good director. Looking forward to War. He's doing Batman, which should
I'm a
prove
lot
interesting.
more hopeful for after Wonder Woman, admittedly.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we hated Justice League, Batman v Superman.
We're just assuming we're going to hate
Yeah, we're
Justice.
assuming we're going to hate Justice League because it's still Zack Snyder. Suicide Squad was garbage as well.
Yeah.
So obviously we were quite down in the dumps. I don't like the Batman in this world because he's been killing people and he's got stupid short ears and
Yeah, we've only actually just got our first details on the Batman film like this week with the
yeah.
doing the press rounds for Apes.
But
He
obviously,
mentioned it's going to be like a noir.
yeah, but having a good director is obviously a good first step, which is the one
Yeah.
thing Batman v Superman definitely does not have. Because hack Snyder, gonna Snyder. But so obviously I'm excited for that. So Matt Reeves is a very strong director, very capable. Made some good stuff. Obviously he did Cloverfield, if I'm right in remembering, which was pretty solid. He did the Let Me In, which is the American remake of Let the Right One In, which suffers a little bit because it is a remake and because I'd rather watch the original, even though I think the remake's pretty strong.
I've not watched it. I just hear a lot that as far as remakes go, it's pretty solid.
It is solid. It's just there's just some touches that I think work better in the original, and I just seen the original first. It just means more to me. And whenever I want to watch that story now, I'm always going to go with the original at this point. Even though there are some very good, well done sequences in it. There's a one shot scene in a car that crashes that's phenomenal, and it isn't in the original. So I mean, it's worth watching that scene at the very least. But
yeah, I mean, I think, like you say, he's a great director. And this, again, we mentioned it with Rise. It could have very easily just felt like this was a studio mandated film because they wanted to keep the Planet of the Apes name going because it's a recognizable franchise. And I think, well, Rise elevated to it above that, like clearly going, no, this had a story. And Dawn's taking it one step further, going, no, we can do something special with this franchise.
yeah. Oh, that's a weird bit of trivia. I just clicked on Matt Reeves to see, what else he's done. And apparently he wrote the script for Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, which is amazing. That is fantastic to hear. I really did not expect that.
I thought you were going to give me something really cool there, but okay.
I just think that's funny because it's such a dumb action movie.
Yeah.
And now he's directing like one of the most thoughtful blockbusters
he's a
there is.
versatile man.
He worked as a director on Felicity, which starred Keri Russell. So maybe that's why she ended up in this movie.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
Maybe that's why. But no, it's interesting stuff. But no, so he's very good. Actors across the board. Obviously, Serkis is.
I think it's a crime he hasn't been nominated for awards yet. I think he's overlooked because he's mocap, but I think his performance is genuinely that good.
Oh no, it is. I think it was great in Rise, but I get that maybe he wasn't quite as central in Rise as he was in Dawn. Whereas here in Dawn, he genuinely feels like he is absolutely unequivocally the lead. He's the main character.
Absolutely.
And the performance is great, and it's great with not. I mean, there's some talking. He talks to some of the humans, but it's not a super amount.
It's so much of it is body language and just subtle looks here. A nod of the head.
It's when he's been protective of his apes community. It's when he goes back to the house from Rise, and he goes back up to his old attic bedroom, and he's watching the footage of James Franco.
Yeah, it's touching.
It's touching
like
stuff.
just because it it doesn't matter what he's watching. It's just seeing his reaction to it, and it's almost heartbreaking to watch his face. It's just incredible acting.
And then of course at that point in the movie he's already at where he's trusting Malcolm, and he's like, oh, he was a good man like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you really feel this bond forming. And the simple fact that Caesar tells him to get his family away because there's going to be a war, like at the end, it's just like, there's a touching bond there where, and again it comes back to this conflict, this inner conflict for Caesar, and I think that's maybe something we're going to see a lot of in wars, this inner struggle of, yes, we're fighting this war because it needs to be fought, but this is horrific, and I'm killing a lot of people who might otherwise be good.
It's going to be him, what he has to do as a leader of a society versus what he thinks he should do as a moral person.
But the whole thing is going to be a tragedy because none of this should have happened. None of it.
Absolutely.
There is no reason for this war.
No.
Fundamentally. People, and when I say people, I mean people on both sides. I don't just mean the humans. Like, I'm just talking about the parties involved. People on both sides made this war happen when it did not need to. It could have just been peace, but of course we have these tribalism sort of tendencies that these things happen. Some awful people cause it to happen, and it's tragic. The whole, and it's a really, really depressing ending because of that.
Yeah, and that's it. It's a case of a few bad eggs ruin it for everyone, and that's like to the extreme, obviously.
Yeah, to the extreme. Yeah,
but that is what it is here.
But no, great action sequences.
Yeah,
great effects. But more importantly, great characters with a great story at the centre of it that has an important message, has proper sort of weight to it.
Yeah, and that's it. I remember going into this movie. Obviously, I'd enjoyed Rise. I enjoyed it more this time around, actually. When I think we both mentioned that in our review of that. But I'd enjoyed it at the time, and I was looking forward to Dawn. But I wasn't, going, oh, I need to see this. This is going to be amazing. And then it came out, and it was just something else entirely.
You weren't expecting to come out of it and go, okay, that was better than the original film. It is probably one of the best films of this year. It's in, it'll be in the running for it, in 2014
I
when
think
it came out.
Even now, it's probably in my top 3. There's only one I can, without looking at what was in 2014, I can tell you for a fact that's above it for me. But, so there's not many, so it's right up there.
Yeah, because it's just a great film. Like, it happens to be kind of a blockbuster, but the writing is better than that. It just is.
It's a very unconventional blockbuster, though, because like you say, like, so much of it is subtitled, and how often do you see a subtitled blockbuster? It's such a bold move from the studio to release that in, I think it was July it came out again.
Yeah, it was a summer movie. Yeah.
It was right in the middle of summer, yeah. And it's such a strong move on their part to go, no, we believe in this movie, and we don't care about the general population. They're going to love this regardless, is almost what it was. That's how good this movie is.
But the weight is there. It is a genuinely good film, and it amazes me that we have. Well, look, I mean, it's pretty clear now at this point that we're going to have this great trilogy that came back. Like, this is like, name me another. I mean, I guess Star Wars might have it to an extent once this new trilogy is complete, but even that, like, because this is surpassing what the original Apes did. Like, are we going to get to the episode 9 of Star Wars and go, well, that trilogy just showed the original trilogy,
Yeah, it's too early to say, because obviously, Force Awakens was just a homage to New Hope.
Yeah, because I think ultimately that's going to be a victim of, and not to any sort of criminal extent. Like, I like Force Awakens. I'm looking forward to Last Jedi. I'm sure it'll be fun. But I think what that's ultimately going to be kind of victim of compared to the Apes trilogy, and which I think the Apes trilogy is criminally underrated even now. Like, as much as we're praising it, I don't feel like it gets the attention that it deserves. I think it's going to suffer from the fact that, there's going to be solid movies, and probably a bit heartwarming, it'll be a fun adventure, but ultimately it's made by people who want to reignite what was already there, that people felt with the original trilogy, and they want to have people feel like they're back in Star Wars. Whereas with this, as much as there's some homages to the original film, especially in Rise...
Yeah, there's definitely not as much in this.
This movie just said, no, we have something to say that goes above and beyond. This is an idea that, it's taking from this old franchise, but it's making its own thing. And
it's playing with a lot of the same themes that we spoke about in the original movie. The racial segregation, the them and the other.
Yeah.
Like all that we spoke about is in Planet of the Apes, but now here it's just there because it's redone for today's audience with the problems that is today. It's very similar problems, admittedly, but they're tailored specifically to now.
Even just the idea, like in the original movie, it was like, we destroyed ourselves, but in that case, it was through nuclear weapons. Here, it's no, we destroyed ourselves because we kind of encouraged this fight, this war.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in the last movie, it was we created this virus, which eventually annihilated most of us. But who is left are basically going to be made smaller because of our own actions.
Yeah, our own inbuilt tribalism as a species, like across the board, we have that.
So again, much like the original film, it's a warning. It's no. Think about how you're acting in these situations, and are you letting your barbaric lust get in the way of what actually makes sense, of what actually works? Let your head prevail. Think about what it is. Kind of idea. So, No, I can't recommend Dawn of the Planet of the Apes enough. I feel like it is a thoughtful film that has something to say. It is therefore quite genuinely like a piece of art in that self. And
I
then,
think anything that has a message and it knows its message, it's not just like, accidental a bit here, a bit there. Like something there that's going, no, this is what we're saying. At that point, it becomes art.
yeah, to an extent. I don't know. I'd have to really think about it, but I'm sure I can think of other qualifiers that make something art beyond that.
Okay.
But
Probably.
yeah, but
For now, that'll do.
for now that'll do.
I've got a couple of little moments that I like. Nothing that as big as
on,
that.
yeah, well-
Just so the movie, after we have that, the little prologue with the thing about the virus, the first thing we see is a shot of Caesar's face, and it tracks out that, and the ending is a shot of Caesar's face. So it's completely bookended by
And it's
Caesar.
going in at the end as well.
Yeah, it's completely going. No, this is Caesar's movie from start to finish.
Yeah.
Another thing I really liked is just when he's going to kick Cobra off the tower. Mm-hmm. It perfectly mirrors when Cobra kicks in the last movie the guy in the helicopter.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It does make me think though. I think final chapter in the trilogy. I think Caesar might be dying at the end of this next one.
I can see it, and that's genuinely gonna break me.
It's going to be this tragic thing. He's probably going to get peace as a result. He's probably going to die for some kind of peace or die for some kind of happy ending for everyone else.
Yeah, it'll be, even if he doesn't intentionally sacrifice himself, it'll be his death is what makes them realize.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but like whatever he was doing will still be noble. Like there's no doubt in my head that whatever reason leads to his death, it'll be a noble cause.
And let's face it, man tears will be shed.
They will.
Because after this movie, I mean, to an extent after Rise as well, but especially after this movie, you care about Caesar like incredibly much.
Yeah, and Maurice, and then to a lesser extent, but you do care about your son. You care about Rocket and stuff. Like these are characters that we've had either on both movies or they've developed in this movie, where we feel like, this is like the core group. And the humans, I don't think we're going to see the human characters again next movie. We've got a new set of humans. We'll get Woody Harrelson next movie.
Yeah,
it's these apes that we've got back. Yeah, so no, I think this is a bad word to use given the Marvel movies that exist, but it is a modern marvel that this trilogy even exists. It's impressive.
I mean, after the sequel, like the original movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
But the sequels, some are good, fun, but none of them are great movies.
I just want to put it in your head that, like, 2-3 weeks after Transformers 5 comes out and is like one of the most hated movies ever. In fact, do you know what I point out that's really funny about Transformers 5? We didn't actually bother reviewing it. Basically, we all said, nah, none of us actually want to go see it. I've noticed a lot of other reviewers make that same choice this time. A lot of other outlets, on YouTube specifically, other YouTubers and stuff, have basically said, what's the point? We've already talked about the last 4. We're going to have nothing new to say. And Michael Bay said that really obnoxious thing. It was either after the 4th movie, maybe after the 3rd movie, where, they're all going to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And I really like the idea that everyone, including the reviewers, have just went, you know what, no, don't need to.
Forget the reviewers. Box office tells you that that's what people's attitude has been. At least for now, it seems that way.
Yeah, in the West at least. Unfortunately, there's some countries that are still gobbling up.
That is true.
Gobbling up the Transformers and the Mummy, that piece of shit Mummy movie.
Yeah, well, we can't control those. We can't control what they do.
Can't control what everyone else does either.
But we can do our part and say, we're not going to go see this. We recommend that you don't go see this. And that's as much as we can do. And obviously, when it came to Transformers, that message kind of carried across to a lot of the general public.
And I don't think there was any, there was no initiative. No one told everyone else, this is what we should do. No one should go see it. It was just, everyone was like, oh, no, I'm done.
Everyone's like, another one? Really?
Like, after the 4th one that had the license to rape and laminated thing in the guy's wallet, and it's like, nah, you know what? We've crossed the line here with these movies, and I'm done.
Well, I hope War trounces it at the box office.
Oh, I do too. It deserves it. It lightly deserves it.
Yeah, I'm just out on a limb and just going to assume it deserves it. Because I think Dawn did well, but it wasn't phenomenal, was it?
which is, I'll applaud Fox for sticking to this franchise, this trilogy, given that it's doing okay, but it's not doing amazing blockbuster franchise numbers.
It would have been easily within their rights to look at this in terms of just how much it was making and go, right, we want to change this so it makes more money. And I probably wouldn't have judged them too. I appreciate that they let them stick to their vision.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have probably judged them as a business at looking at it and going, no, we want more from it.
Especially this summer, because Mummy, at least domestically, done shit.
Yeah.
Transformers domestically, by far the lowest it's ever done. Baywatch, which got terrible reviews, did not do well.
Yeah.
Bad movies, and Pirates of the Caribbean 5 actually, again, I think worldwide's kind of dragged it up, but domestically, again, really weak.
Yeah, and that domestic figure is still important.
So
less important than it used to be.
But here's the thing: Wonder Woman did really well. Get Out, which is not a blockbuster, but earlier this year, that did really well. Guardians 2, which I didn't, not as good as some other stuff, still pretty solid, did quite well. I'm really hoping that War's great and it makes a lot of money, and it's
I want War to be great and make its money. I want Baby Driver to make its money.
And it says to people, it says to the studios, no, you make good movies, we will go see them.
Yeah. I think, again, not to go too far off onto a tangent here, but it's the whole, we get the Rotten Tomatoes debate that's come up lately where they're all like, oh, you're stopping us getting money because we're making bad movies and you're telling people about it. It's like, well, yeah. And maybe this will be hang on, maybe we should make a better movie, guys. And then we can't blame Rotten Tomatoes.
Do you know what? That irks me so much. When they thought, oh, Rotten Tomatoes is hurting our box office, their initial response was to blame it and go, we want to stop them being able to see it early. Their response wasn't to, oh, let's make better movies. Their response was, let's try and censor those who are telling people that they're bad.
It's why I appreciate so much that the embargo for War is so early. They're going, nah, we don't give a shit what the rest of you are doing. We believe in this movie, and we know Rotten Tomatoes is going to love it. They're going to come out with a great score. People are going to go see that, and they're going to see that for 3 weeks before the movie hits the cinema. And then they're going to go, do you know what? This is probably a good movie, and they'll go and see it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I still think there's obviously a segment of the audience that don't care about review scores and go and see crap anyway. Of course, there's
always going to be
that segment. But I think, as time has went on, all the people who do care enough to actually vet their movies and look at
because it's so easy to like again, Rotten Tomatoes has its flaws in terms of it just boils it down to a percentage of was it a good or bad movie?
It's not like Rotten Tomatoes is not a. It's just a tool. You have to understand what the tool's telling you and what the reading is. But it's a useful tool, engaging your own.
It is, and the fact that everyone has a phone, they can get to Rotten Tomatoes in 3 clicks, and you can see any movie that's coming up and go, right, yeah, that's people are liking that or people are not liking that. Is it worth my time? Just judgment call, based on just that. If you want to,
it's more of a tap on a phone.
All right, yeah, I suppose it is. Click was a poor choice of wording.
Yeah, click's more of a computer thing, but
it is. Whatever.
Just to pick it apart.
Shut up! Don't ruin my perfectly good point.
So no, but yeah, Dawn's fantastic.
It is. We kind of got off it a bit because we were just talking about the industry in general, but it's such a good movie.
I think the reason why we went into that tangent about the industry in general and blockbusters in general is because it stands out so much amongst them, and it does kind of show how a lot of other blockbusters aren't really trying. Because as much as I enjoy all the superhero movies coming out, and I'm thinking specifically the Marvel movies right here.
There's a formula.
There's a formula, and you know what? I'm a little bit fatigued to the point where, like Civil War, some people were still super excited about that. I was like, oh yeah, it was fine, but like,
yeah, I still enjoyed it. I'm still going to probably enjoy all of them that are at least that competent, and because they're all of at least a certain standard. But
they're very much. I go when I watch, I leave, and I'm kind of like, okay, that was fine.
It's going to take for them to do something new, something different, for me to go, right, that was great.
It's just a little bit of fatigue. And obviously, we're going to be rewatching for Flux, Civil War, and all the other Avengers and Captain America movies for the new Avengers movie next year when we get to it. And I'm curious, I've not seen Civil War since the cinema. Like,
Me either.
I used to see these movies multiple times at the theatre, and I've not done that for the last few. I've not cared enough to go and see it more than once. And I'm really curious to see how I feel about Civil War again. With some times went past, maybe I'll go in with a fresher mind. And
because you'd be going in with lower expectations as well.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how I'll feel come the second viewing. But The point is though, is that as much as they're fun, they are purely popcorn. There is no depth to those movies.
And that's it. I think that's the difference where when we get to Dawn, it's like this is a blockbuster, but it has a vision.
Yes.
It's got something to say rather than just be a popcorn flick.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, for a popcorn movie that isn't that deep, most of those Marvel movies are exceptionally good at being that. They are.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between a Marvel movie and a Transformers movie. There is a giant leap of quality, and that does matter for something. That counts for something.
Yeah.
But they don't. They're still light, fluffy fun. They're good, light, fluffy fun.
It's just nice to see a studio go, do you know what? We're going to let you do something different, especially with a franchise like Planet of the Apes, which you know it's got recognition already. People have preconceptions about it. It's got a brand. It's got value. And they go, no, you're allowed to do something different with this. You can try, and it might fail. Audiences might hate it, and they might make no money, but they stuck with it and went, you can try, and I respect that.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm actually just, I think obviously Matt Reeves is forever on the radar after this movie and presumably the next one. As is potentially Rupert Wyatt. What's the LCC directed, actually, off the top of my head?
If I recall, it's a lot of like light, fluffier things.
I'm not really familiar with most of this. He did an episode of The Exorcist, actually. He did the pilot for the Exorcist TV show.
Oh, did he?
Funnily enough, yeah. He did The Gambler? What's The Gambler? Oh, that's a Mark Wahlberg movie. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't like Mark Wahlberg, so I'm happy leaving that. But no, so Dawn is fantastic. So let's get to ratings, as if it's going to be surprising.
Just before we do go on, there's the little bit at the end of the credits.
Oh, sure, yeah, which I didn't know about until this viewing.
Yeah, and it's just something that I don't even know if it'll ever come up, but just in case.
Well, go on then. What happens at the end of the credits?
So at the end of the credits, we have some ape noises, and then some kind of rubble. Sounds like it's being moved, and then some heavy breathing. And that's kind of it. It's just on a black screen. It's just the noises. But obviously the obvious implication, at least, is that Koba survived, and he has maybe a group that went down, still loyal to him, that rescued him and took
possibly
him.
Which would be interesting from the third movie's perspective of like, okay, so the apes are actually at war with the humans. Where does Koba and his followers stand?
Do you know what I think it'd be really interesting? I think that's the next trilogy. I think that's where they go after this.
You go Koba's out of commission.
Yeah, you keep Koba out of commission for this. You ignore it. Consider him dead still for this movie, for all intents and purposes. But put maybe some teasers of what's to come after, and then after this movie, you go right. That's that trilogy done. But they're not going to want to give it up entirely. No chance.
Oh sure.
And then maybe go look at what has Koba been plotting? What's he doing? How do you have that?
That's if it keeps it so close to it though. I feel like for a next trilogy, they should probably jump ahead.
Yeah, perhaps.
Keep it separate. Because I like the idea that war is the end of this trilogy. That said, though, I think Matt Reeves in interviews was talking about ideas for a fourth. So maybe if he has ideas, if he's got stuff he wants to do, then you know what? This idea of like each movie like section should be a trilogy. We don't really need to have that. If you have 4 movie ideas and you want to do a 4-movie story and that's what the whole idea is, then by all means do 4 movies, like whatever.
Yeah, we're just calling it a trilogy because that's what it seems to be as of right now.
And it's also the standard thing to group them into. Like you have a trilogy. Yeah. Even Star Wars is grouped into trilogies.
Yeah. If it comes out with a 4th one that's clearly still part of this, then I guess then it's a quadrilogy. But until we get that, it's just we'll stick with trilogy.
Aye. So there you go. So rating Dawn of the Apes out of the 10.
Yeah, I'm going the same as I gave the original movie. It's a 10. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I don't have anything wrong with it. All the characters, everything we've just spoke about for better part of an hour. All the characters, all the themes, all that action. It doesn't do anything wrong.
I agree with that, and yet I am not giving it a perfect 10.
Any particular reason, or just doesn't quite get there for you?
I mean, I'm giving it a 9.5, so I'm hardly docking it that much. Which is higher. I gave the original a 9, if I recall. I'm giving this a 9.5. Is there a reason why it's not a straight 10?
I
guess
mean, sometimes just because is enough.
Yeah, no, it kind of is. Like, ultimately, my philosophy when it comes to giving out tens is, like, there's not really a difference in quality between a 9, a 9.5, and a 10, really.
Yeah, it's just a feeling sometimes.
Yeah, it's just a feeling. And it's the sort of thing where I think a lot of tens become tens over time, and this could become a 10 over time to me. I feel like it is exceptional in almost every way. If I'm going to critique, like, I'll nudge just to take it off, like why it's not hitting the perfect 10. Maybe it was my complaint that the music's not memorable to me. Maybe I don't know, mate.
No, I get it. Sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you just go, it's almost flawless, but I'm not giving it a 10. I've done that myself. I don't think this was a 10 when I first saw it, but the fact that I've watched it, I mean, this was, I think, my 5th viewing of this movie.
Oh, go, very good.
And, you know, like I watched it twice in the cinema, and then, you know, a couple of times since it's come out on home release.
I think ultimately it comes down to, like, okay, what are my other 10s? Does this stand with them? Is really what it comes down to.
That's fair.
Does this go alongside Mulholland Drive and Alien and Aliens? Like, and I'm using one specifically within this show, so I'm not spoiling other 10s that we might do later on.
No, I get that. And I'd say for me personally, it does.
Oh, sure, I get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely get it. Do you know what? Actually, I'll tell you why it doesn't. What that little nudge is. I think I've sussed it. I think in my head I've sussed it.
Go on.
Again, if I'm comparing it to Mulholland Drive, I'm comparing it to Alien and Aliens, and I'm comparing it to my other 10s that I've got sort of swimming in my head for the most part. There is just a small lack of a little bit of style. I mean more from the world, and that it's intentionally meant to be the real kind of world and feel realistic. But, you know, I think of those other movies, Mulholland Drive has a style, has a mood, has an atmosphere.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Alien, you feel that Lovecraftian horror almost as they're descending into the ship to get the egg, and Aliens has that. It has a sort of extension of that where it's the base and it's all this militaristic and metal and there's oozing atmosphere. If there's one thing this movie almost doesn't have that much, is actually atmosphere. It has fantastic characters, has great, fantastic themes and plot, but the atmosphere isn't super potent, I guess is maybe.
No, that's fair. No, so, I can appreciate that.
So that's the one thing. That's why it's not a 10 for me. That's the one thing that's missing.
So I didn't expect you to actually figure it out.
But I did. I thought about it, and because the movie doesn't feel like it's lacking anything when you're watching it or when I'm talking about it. It was just when I started thinking about what else I'd rate a 10, and I went, what's missing compared to those?
Yeah.
And there it is.
Oh, that's fair. We got it. We got the hang of it.
9.5. That said, it averages out to a 9.75. That's not bad going. But phenomenal is the word. So thank you very much for watching. We'll have another in Flux later this week, so you can look forward to that. But that is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm regressing. I'm de-evolving. Tie that in.
Devolving.
Devolving. Oh, did I say it wrong as well? Damn it. I thought I'd make a fun joke out of my flub, and then I flubbed the dumb joke for the flub.
I think that's your cue to wrap this up.
It is. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Get us on patreon.com/mailedfuzztv if you want to support the channel. If you like what we do, keep us doing this. More movies. There's a lot of bonus movie potential stuff going on in the goals and the perks if you want to go over there and cough up some dough, as it were. But we do appreciate it if you do. It's great when that happens. And but no, that's us. So thank you very much for watching. I said all that get stuff again. See, I told you, I'm flubbing.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks for War.
Aye, for War. On 1.21 gigawatts gets a new movie. But that is us, guys. Thank you once again for watching. Keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.